The sky above Mars was dark and quiet. No stars blinked through the blackness, only the cold silence of space. Then, without warning, something changed. A ripple passed through the void like a stone dropped into water. From that ripple came shapes, large, jagged, and sharp like broken glass. They were ships, dozens of them, hundreds maybe. They moved slowly, with purpose, not like explorers or traders, more like judges coming to pass a sentence. Down on Earth, people watched the event unfold on screens big and small. Scientists tried to make sense of what they saw. Politicians argued over what it meant, and soldiers stood ready, though many did not know what for. The ships belonged to the Virex Concord, an empire of alien species that ruled much of the known galaxy. They had crushed every race they met. Everyone, until now. Earth had only just begun reaching out into space. It had colonies on Mars, bases on Europa, and mining stations orbiting Saturn. But compared to the Virex, humanity was still young, still new, but they would not be pushed aside. A world united. In Geneva, at the headquarters of the United Terran Defense Force, UTDF, leaders from across the world gathered. They came from every country: China, Russia, Brazil, India, France, the US, and more. For once, there were no arguments about borders or politics. Only survival mattered now. At the head of the room sat General Marcus Bell. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in wars before, on Earth, but nothing like this. Nothing involving aliens. "We don't know their intentions," said Dr. Lena Cruz, a scientist who worked on xenotech, the study of alien technology. "They're here," Bell replied. "That's enough." Behind him, a screen showed live footage from Mars orbit. The alien fleet floated like ghosts, silent and unmoving. Then a voice came through the speakers. It was not spoken in any human language but translated instantly by machines. "This world will surrender. You have 48 hours. Resistance will be met with complete destruction." Silence filled the room. No one spoke for a long time. Then Bell stood up. His voice was calm but firm. "We do not surrender." A new commander. Across the ocean in Virginia, Alex Ramirez packed his gear. He wasn't a general or a politician. He was a soldier, a Marine turned field commander for the UTDF. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and always looked like he hadn't slept in days. That was because he usually hadn't. Alex had been born in Texas but grew up in California. He joined the military after college, thinking he'd serve for a few years and move on. But the world kept changing. First came climate disasters. Then came war between nations. Now came aliens. He had trained for everything except this. As he zipped his bag closed, someone knocked on the door. It was his sister, Kayla. She didn't say anything at first. She just hugged him. "I'll come back," he whispered. "I know," she said, "but I'm still scared." He kissed her forehead and left. Outside, a transport plane waited. It would take him to Geneva, where the UTDF was setting up its main command center. He looked up at the sky. Cloudy, normal, like nothing had changed. But everything had. The scientist. Dr. Emily Hart had never seen a real alien before. She had studied them for years, yes. She read reports, analyzed old data, and even worked on decoding alien signals. But now, standing in front of a live image of the Virex Armada, she felt small. Emily was smart. Not just book smart. She could build things with her hands. Fix broken tech, hack into systems. She had grown up in Oregon, tinkering with radios and robots. When she was 16, she built a working drone from scrap parts. Now she was one of the top scientists in the UTDF. Her job was to figure out how to fight something she barely understood. "They're not broadcasting weapons signatures," she told a group of engineers in the lab. "But that doesn't mean they're not armed." One of the younger engineers asked, "What if they're peaceful?" Emily shook her head. "If they wanted peace, they wouldn't send an army," She walked over to a table where pieces of alien tech lay spread out. Some were from wreckage found deep beneath the Martian surface, left behind by a forgotten civilization called the Aelari. She picked up a small crystal-like device. It pulsed with faint light. "This might help us," she said, "if we can understand it." The pilot. Jordan Blake sat in the cockpit of a sleek black fighter jet. It was unlike anything ever flown by the military. It had no wings, no engines like normal planes. Instead, it used a strange form of propulsion, based on alien tech. They called it the Skyblade. Jordan was 27, with short brown hair and a cocky smile. He was a pilot, pure and simple. He loved flying more than anything else, even more than food or sleep. He had flown missions in Africa during border wars. He had dodged missiles over the Pacific. But this was different. "Ready?" came the voice of his co-pilot, Rachel Moore. Rachel was a tech specialist, quiet, focused, and deadly accurate with a rifle. She had been recruited straight from MIT after hacking into a defense satellite during a school project. "As I'll ever be," Jordan said. "Good, because we've got company." On the radar, red dots appeared. Virex scout drones moving toward Earth orbit. "Time to see what this thing can do," Jordan muttered. He pulled the throttle. The Skyblade shot forward, leaving a trail of blue fire behind. The message. Back in Geneva, the leaders debated what to do next. Some wanted to talk. Others wanted to hide. A few wanted to run, but General Bell knew one thing for sure. Running was not an option. He addressed the world through a live broadcast. "The beings that have arrived are not our friends. They gave us a choice: surrender or die. We choose neither." People all over the planet watched. Soldiers stood at attention. Families held each other close. Bell continued, "We are not the strongest. We are not the most advanced. But we are human, and we do not give up." His words spread like wildfire. Across Earth, people began preparing. Cities built shelters. Factories switched to making weapons. Schools taught kids how to survive in case of attack. And in space, the Virex watched. They thought they were facing a weak, divided species. They were wrong. First contact. The first strike came without warning. A beam of energy lanced down from one of the largest Virex ships. It hit near Beijing, then another near Moscow, then one near Chicago. Cities burned. Skyscrapers collapsed. People screamed, but Earth did not fall. From hidden launch pads, rockets fired into the sky. Fighter jets rose from underground hangars. Drones swarmed like insects. Humanity fought back. Jordan led a squad of Skyblades into the upper atmosphere. They engaged Virex scouts, small, fast ships shaped like blades. Missiles flew, lasers lit up the darkness. One Virex ship exploded in a ball of fire. "Got him," Jordan shouted. Another ship locked onto him. "Break right," Rachel yelled. He did, just in time. The enemy missile missed and slammed into a cloud, lighting it up like lightning. Below, on the ground, Alex led a team into New York City. The skyline was damaged but not destroyed. "Set up defenses," he ordered. Soldiers placed automated turrets on rooftops. Civilians helped carry supplies. Then came the sound. A deep hum filled the air. From the sky, a massive Virex dropship descended. Dozens of alien warriors jumped out, landing hard on the streets. Alex raised his weapon. "Hold the line!" Gunfire echoed through the city. The battle for Earth had begun. Unexpected strength. The Virex expected easy prey. They thought humans would panic, flee, submit. Instead, they faced resistance. In Moscow, a hacker named Anya Petrov disabled an entire Virex communications array using nothing but a stolen alien chip and a laptop. In Sydney, a retired Navy SEAL named Danny Wu led a group of civilians in taking down a Virex scouting post. In Cairo, students used homemade explosives to destroy a Virex supply depot. Everywhere, humans fought. Not because they were told to, but because they chose to. And then came the biggest surprise of all. Dr. Emily Hart activated a prototype shield generator powered by Larry Tech. The dome shimmered into place over Washington, D.C. Virex attacks bounced off it like raindrops on glass. For the first time, the alien commanders hesitated. They had never seen anything like this. They had underestimated humanity. Badly. End of Part 1. Earth was under attack. Its cities burned. Its people died. But its spirit? Unbroken. The Virex had come expecting submission. They found defiance. They had declared war. They had no idea what they were up against, because humanity had risen, and they were just getting started. The sky over Earth was filled with smoke and fire. Cities burned. Ships crashed. Explosions lit up the night like lightning. But even in the chaos, something strange began to happen. Humanity did not break. They fought back harder than the Virex expected, and it all started with a few brave people who refused to give up. A new plan. In Geneva, General Marcus Bell stood in the war room. Smoke from nearby attacks still lingered outside the windows. The lights flickered. The walls shook with every distant explosion. But inside, the leaders of the United Terran Defense Force, UTDF, worked fast. "We can't keep losing ground," said Dr. Lena Cruz, the xenotech expert. "We need a plan that hits them where they're weak." Bell looked at the map on the table. Red dots marked Virex positions around the world. Green dots showed human defenses. "We don't have their ships or weapons," he said, "but we have something else." "What?" someone asked. "People," Bell said simply. "Smart, strong, stubborn people." He turned to the group. "We fight smarter. We use what we've got. And we make them pay for every inch they take." Everyone nodded. It was time to change tactics. Time to start the resistance. Alex takes command. In New York City, Alex Ramirez led his team through the ruins of Manhattan. Buildings were shattered. Fires still burned. People hid in shelters below the streets. But Alex wasn't hiding, he was fighting. His unit had taken control of a rooftop base near Times Square. From there, they launched small strikes against Virex patrols. They didn't have big guns. They didn't have fancy tech. But they had courage, and they had surprise. One night, Alex and his soldiers crept into an old subway tunnel. They moved silently, guided by flashlights and maps. Their mission: destroy a Virex supply drop point under Grand Central Station. When they reached the station, they found the aliens unprepared. They thought humans were too scared to attack. They were wrong. Alex gave the signal. Grenades flew. Gunfire cracked through the tunnels. Smoke filled the air. The battle lasted only minutes. By dawn, the Virex supplies were gone, and Alex's name spread across the city like a legend. Emily's discovery. Back in Geneva, Dr. Emily Hart worked non-stop in the lab. She stared at the alien crystal she had studied before the war. Now she finally understood part of its power. "It's not just energy," she whispered. "It's data, a kind of memory." She connected the crystal to a computer. Lines of code flashed across the screen. Alien symbols, but readable now, thanks to new translation software. Then, the machine spoke in a soft voice. "Alari Legacy Protocol. System online." Emily's heart raced. The Ilari, the ancient race that left technology behind on Earth, had built this device. It contained knowledge, weapon designs, defensive systems, maybe even ways to fight the Virex. She called her team. "This could change everything," she said. They began copying the data, every bit of it. Soon, they would build something the Virex had never seen, something made by human hands, but powered by alien genius. Jordan strikes back. In space, Jordan, Blake flew his Skyblade fighter toward Mars orbit. Behind him, 3 other pilots followed. They were the last of the UTDF's elite space fighters. Their mission: stop a Virex supply convoy heading toward Earth. The Virex ships were large and slow, carrying weapons and fuel for the invasion. "They won't expect us to attack," Jordan said. "Let's make sure they regret that." Rachel Moore, his co-pilot, checked the weapon systems. "All loaded," she said. "Good," Jordan replied. "Let's go." They dove into the convoy like hawks, lasers fired. Missiles streaked through the void. Jordan locked onto a fuel tank and fired. Boom! The ship exploded, sending debris flying in all directions. Another pilot took out a communications tower. A third disabled a command center. Within minutes, the convoy was in ruins. Jordan pulled up and looked at the damage. "Well," he said, grinning, "that was fun." Rachel laughed. "Try not to die next time." "I'll try," he said. They returned to base with news of their victory, and with it, hope. Because if a handful of pilots could strike so hard, maybe the whole war could turn. The message that changed everything. Dr. Emily Hart stood in front of the UTDF leadership. On the screen behind her was a message she had decrypted from the Iolari crystal. It read, "To those who find this, know this. You are not alone. You are not weak. You are the inheritors of a legacy older than stars. Rise. Fight. Remember." Silence filled the room. Then, General Bell stood. "This proves it," he said. "We are not just defending our home. We are defending something bigger." Lena Cruz added, "The Elari believed in us. We must believe in ourselves." The message was sent across Earth. It played on radios. It flashed on screens. It echoed through underground shelters. People heard it and felt something stir inside them: hope, courage, strength, and the will to fight. The first victory. In Cairo, Danny Wu led a team of civilians and soldiers into a Virex outpost. The aliens had set up a massive communication relay. It allowed them to coordinate attacks across Africa. Danny's team had no tanks. No drones, just rifles, explosives, and one stolen Virex scanner. They moved under cover of darkness. They reached the compound and planted charges around the base. Then, they waited. At dawn, the Virex guards changed shifts. Danny pressed the button. Boom. The explosion lit up the desert. The relay was destroyed, and with it half the Virex forces in Africa lost contact with each other. They panicked. They fell apart, and the humans pushed forward. For the first time, the Virex lost a major position. It wasn't a huge win, but it was a sign. Humans could win. Rise of the Resistance. Across the planet, more groups formed. In Moscow, Anya Petrov led a network of hackers who disrupted Virex commands. In Sydney, Danny's brother, Leo Wu, trained volunteers to fight. In Rio de Janeiro, former gang members joined the defense teams, protecting neighborhoods from alien raids. Even kids helped. They carried messages, fixed machines, watched for enemy scouts. Every person mattered, every action counted, and slowly the tide began to turn. The Virex thought they had come to conquer a weak species. Instead, they faced a planet full of warriors. A dangerous mission. Back. In Geneva, General Bell gathered a small team. "We need to capture a Virex officer," he said. "We need to know what they fear." Alex raised his hand. "I'll do it." Emily looked at him. "It's dangerous." "I know," he said, "but I'm going anyway." They chose a target, a Virex command post in Berlin. Alex and his team flew in under cover of night. They landed quietly. They moved fast. Inside the building, they found what they were looking for, a high-ranking Virex officer. Alex pointed his gun at the alien. "You're coming with us," he said. The Virex growled, but Alex didn't flinch. Now. Truth revealed. Back in Geneva, the captured Virex was questioned. Through translators and tech, they learned the truth. The Virex conquered was not a single empire. It was many species forced together under one rule. Fear kept them united, and now that fear was failing. If humans keep fighting, the Virex said, others will follow. General Bell looked at Dr. Cruz. This changes everything, he said. Yes, she replied. Now they know they can lose. On spreading the word. The UTDF sent out a message across all known frequencies. It was broadcast in every language on Earth, and it ended with a simple line. We are not your prey. We are your reckoning. The message reached deep into space. Other species heard it. Some were slaves, some were prisoners, some were forced to fight for the Virex. And now they began to wonder, could they be free? Could they rise? Just like the humans. Nakur. End of part. Earth was still under siege. The Virex had not been defeated, but now they were afraid. They had come expecting submission. Instead, they found a world that refused to fall, and beyond the stars, others were watching, waiting, and getting ready to rise. Because humanity had proven one thing, no matter how big the enemy, no matter how hopeless the fight, humans never give up. They never surrender. They rise, and they fight. The world was changing, not because the Virex were leaving. No, they were still here, still attacking, still trying to take Earth. But now, they were afraid. And for good reason, because the more they fought, the stronger humans became. They didn't just survive. They adapted. They learned. They fought back harder than ever before, and across the planet, something new was born. Hope. A planet united. In Geneva, General Marcus Bell stood on the balcony of the UTDF command center. Smoke still filled the sky. The city below was damaged, but alive. People moved through the streets with purpose. Soldiers trained in open fields. Engineers built weapons from scrap. Teachers taught kids how to use drones to spot enemy movements. Doctors worked in underground hospitals. Farmers grew food in secret greenhouses. Every person had a role. Bell turned to Dr. Lena Cruz. This is what they never understood, he said. What? She asked. That we don't need leaders to tell us what to do, he replied. We fight because it's who we are. Lena nodded. They thought we'd break under pressure, she said. Instead, we rose. Alex takes the fight. In Berlin, Alex Ramirez walked through the ruins of an old Virex base. His team had captured it 2 days ago. Now they were using it as a forward command post. He looked at a map pinned to the wall. Red pins marked Virex positions. Green pins showed human resistance bases. There were more green than red now. Alex smiled. For the first time since the war began, they were winning ground. A soldier approached him. Sir, we've got reports. From Moscow. They took back the power grid. Alex raised an eyebrow. All by themselves? Yes, sir. Civilians led the charge. Alex shook his head. We're not just fighting them anymore, he said. We're pushing them back. Emily's new weapon. Back in Geneva, Dr. Emily Hart stood in front of a large machine. It hummed with energy. Behind her, a group of scientists watched in awe. This is it, she said. The Alari Shield Core. She pressed a button. A dome of light formed around the building. Then outside, a Virex drone fired a beam at the structure. The beam hit the shield and vanished. No damage, just light bouncing off like rain on glass. Emily grinned. It works. One of the engineers whispered. This could protect entire cities. Yes, she said. It can. She turned to the others. Let's build more. Jordan in the stars. In space, Jordan Blake flew his Skyblade, fighter near Mars orbit. Beside him, Rachel Moore monitored their systems. Below them, a Virex fleet drifted in silence. They were waiting for orders, waiting to strike. Jordan looked at the radar. There's our target, he said, pointing at a large ship in the center of the fleet. "That's their command hub," Rachel said. "If we take that out, they'll be blind." "Then let's make them blind," Jordan said. He pushed the throttle. The Skyblade shot forward. Missiles launched, lasers fired. They dove into the heart of the enemy fleet. Explosions lit up the void. Ships broke apart. And then, boom. The command. Ship exploded in a flash of fire. The rest of the Virex fleet hesitated. Then, one by one, they started to retreat. Rachel laughed. "That was amazing," Jordan grinned. "I know." They returned to base with news of another victory, and with every win, the Virex grew weaker and humanity grew stronger. The message that shook the galaxy. Dr. Emily Hart stood in front of the UTDF leadership. On the screen behind her was a message. It read, "To all who hear this, we are Earth. We have fought the Virex. We have won. If you suffer under them, rise. You are not alone." The message was sent across deep space frequencies. It reached far beyond Earth. It reached other planets, other species, slaves, prisoners, rebels. They heard the message, and they listened. Some whispered it to each other, others carved it into walls, and some for the first time stood up and fought. A city reclaimed. In Sydney, Danny Wu led a team of fighters into the heart of the city. The Virex had taken over the harbor. Now they were about to lose it. Danny's team used homemade explosives, stolen alien tech, and clever traps. They attacked at night. They moved silently. They placed charges on key buildings. Then they waited. At dawn, they struck. Boom. The explosions echoed through the city. Virex soldiers ran in confusion. Danny and his team charged. Gunfire cracked. Smoke filled the air. Within hours, the Virex lost control of the harbor, and Sydney was free again. As Danny stood on top of a rooftop, looking out over the city, he whispered, "We're not just surviving anymore." "No," said his brother Leo beside him, "we're winning." The Underground Network. Across the world, hidden networks spread like wildfire. Hackers shared codes, scientists shared blueprints, fighters shared tactics. Everything was passed secretly, through radios, through messengers, through code. Even inside enemy bases, humans worked to bring down the Virex. In Moscow, Anya Petrov hacked into a Virex database. She found something shocking: plans for a massive attack on Geneva. She copied the files and sent them to UTDF command. General Bell received the message within minutes. He called a meeting. "They're planning to wipe us out," he said. "But now we know," Lena Cruz added. "We can stop them." Bell nodded. "Then let's get ready." Became a dangerous mission. Alex was given a new mission. He had to sneak into a Virex command station on Ganymede. The moon was one of Jupiter's largest, and it held the main Virex control center for the Sol system. If they could destroy it, they could cripple the invasion. Alex gathered his team. They boarded a small stealth ship. They traveled through space in silence. When they landed, they moved fast. Inside the station, they found records, maps, and data logs. They also found something else: evidence, proof that the Virex Empire was breaking apart, fights between different alien species, mutiny in the ranks, fear spreading like disease. Alex looked at the files. "They're scared," he whispered. He uploaded everything to UTDF command. Then he planted explosives. Boom. The station exploded, and with it, the Virex lost their central command. The turning point. Back on Earth, General Bell stood in front of the world. The message from Ganymede had arrived. "The Virex are not united," he told the people. "They are afraid, and they are losing control." Cheers rose from the crowd. People hugged each other. Children smiled. For the first time, the war felt winnable. Bell continued, "We have proven that we are not weak. We are not helpless. We are not alone." He paused. "And now, we show them what it means to be human." HFY. End of part 3. Earth was still at war. The Virex had not left, but now they knew the truth. Humanity was not just defending its home, it was leading a revolution. Across the stars, other species began to rise, and in the dark of space, a new message spread. The humans have shown us the way. We will follow. Together we will be free. Because when the galaxy declared war, they had no idea what they were up against. They had no idea humanity had risen. The Virex were losing, not just a few battles, not just on Earth, but across the stars, and for the first time in centuries, they did not know what to do. They had crushed every enemy before, but now the humans kept rising, faster, stronger, smarter, and the galaxy was watching, waiting, learning. A final push. In Geneva, General Marcus Bell stood in the war room. The lights flickered. Outside, the city still bore the scars of war. Smoke rose from broken buildings, but inside, the mood was different, hopeful. "We've pushed them back," said Dr. Lena Cruz, looking at the map on the table. "But they're not gone." Bell nodded. "They'll try one last strike." Lena looked up. "What makes you say that?" "They don't know how to lose," he said simply. Behind them, Alex Ramirez entered the room. He was covered in dust and sweat. His uniform was torn, but his eyes were sharp. "I'm ready," he said. Bell smiled. "Good, because we have a plan." The super weapon. Reports came in from deep space. The Virex were building something massive. A super weapon. It could destroy entire planets with a single shot, and Earth was its target. Dr. Emily Hart studied the data. "This thing isn't just powerful," she said. "It's designed to end wars in one strike." Rachel Moore, her assistant, asked, "Can we stop it?" Emily looked at her. "We have to." She turned to the team behind her. "We need to find out where it is, how it works, and how to destroy it." One of the engineers whispered, "If it fires even once, Earth might not survive." Silence filled the room. Then, Emily spoke again. "We won't let that happen." Jordan's mission. In space, Jordan Blake sat in the cockpit of the Skyblade. Beside him, Rachel checked their systems. "We've got our orders," she said. Jordan smirked. "I hope you're ready." "For what?" she asked. "To fly straight into hell," he replied. Their mission: locate and disable the Virex superweapon before it fired. They weren't alone. 3 other pilots joined them. They flew through asteroid fields, past dead ships, through hidden paths only the best could navigate. Hours later, they saw it, floating in darkness, a massive alien structure, like a planet killer waiting to be used. Jordan swallowed hard. "That's it," he whispered. Rachel looked at the readings. "It's charging," she said. "We don't have much time." Jordan gripped the controls. "Then let's move." Alex on the ground. Back on Earth, Alex led a team into the ruins of London. The Virex had taken over the city. Now, it was time to take it back. He moved silently through the streets. Buildings were cracked. Cars lay burned. Nature had started to reclaim the land, but people were still here, hiding, waiting. Alex signaled his team. They moved into an old subway station. Inside, they found a secret Virex base. Dozens of alien soldiers guarded it. Alex didn't hesitate. He raised his weapon. Now, gunfire echoed through the tunnels. Explosions lit up the dark. Within minutes, the base was under human control. And inside, they found something big. Plans, blueprints, data logs, everything about the Virex fleet. And more importantly, weak points. Alex took the files. "We've got what we need," he said. He looked around. "This is how we win." Emily activates the shield. Back in Geneva, Dr. Emily Hart worked nonstop. She stood in front of the largest Ilari relic ever found. It was buried beneath Antarctica, and now it was time to turn it on. "This shield will protect Earth," she told her team. "But if we get this wrong..." She didn't finish the sentence. Everyone knew failure meant death. She pressed the button. At first, nothing happened. Then, a low hum filled the air. The ground shook, lights flickered, and then, a dome of energy rose into the sky, spreading fast, covering the whole planet. Emily watched as the shield reached completion. She smiled. "It's done." Behind her, Lena Cruz whispered, "Earth is safe. For now." The battle begins. In space, Jordan and his team launched their attack. Lasers flew, missiles exploded, Virex fighters swarmed like insects. Jordan dodged left, right, up, he fired, boom, one. Enemy ship down, another locked onto him. Rachel shouted, "Break right!" He did, just in time. The missile missed. He dove toward the superweapon. "There's the core," Rachel said. He lined up his shot. "This is for Earth," he muttered. He pulled the trigger. Boom. The core cracked. Warning lights flashed on the alien. Ship alarms blared. Jordan grinned. "We hit it." But then, the superweapon began to power up. "It's going to fire," Rachel yelled. "No," Jordan said. "Not today." He dove again. This time he aimed for the engine. Boom. The ship shuddered. Then, it exploded. A wave of fire and light filled space. Jordan pulled up. He barely escaped. As he looked back, all he saw was smoke and silence. Rachel breathed. "We did it." Jordan nodded. "Yeah," he said. "We did." Clomdor. The uprising. On Earth, the news spread fast. The Virex superweapon was destroyed, and the message went out across the galaxy. Other species heard, and they acted. In far-off systems, slaves broke free. Rebels rose up. Fighters attacked Virex. Bases. Across the stars, the Empire began to crack. In one colony, a young girl looked up at the sky. She whispered, "Maybe we can be free too." And she ran to join the fight, because humanity had shown them the way, and now they followed. The Virex Council. Far from Earth, in the cold halls of the Virex capital, leaders argued. They watched reports from Sol. Earth was still standing. Their superweapon was gone. Their forces were retreating, and their enemies were rising. One leader growled, "We must crush them." Another said, "No, we must leave." A third spoke slowly. "They are not weak. They are not afraid. They are not like the others." There was silence. Then, the oldest voice in the room said, "We may have made a mistake." And for the first time in centuries, the Virex considered retreat. End of Part 4. The tide had turned. Humanity had survived the worst, and now, the Virex feared them. Across the stars, rebellion grew. Slaves became soldiers, prisoners became leaders, and the galaxy began to change. Because when the Virex declared war, they had no idea what they were up against. They had no idea humanity had risen. The sky above Earth was quiet again, not because there were no ships, but because the ones that flew now were human. The Virex armada had left. Some fled. Others were destroyed. And for the first time in months, people looked up at the stars and smiled. The war was over. Humanity had won, not with the biggest guns or the strongest ships, but with courage, with hope, with unity. And now, a new day was beginning. Rebuilding the world. In Geneva, General Marcus Bell stood on the balcony of the UTDF Command Center. Smoke still rose from some parts of the city. Buildings were broken, but life had returned. People walked the streets. Children played near makeshift gardens. Farmers grew food in rooftop fields. Engineers rebuilt power lines. Doctors opened new clinics. Bell turned to Dr. Lena Cruz. "We did it," he said. She nodded. We really did. He looked out over the city. This isn't just about survival anymore, he said. It's about what we build next, Lena smiled. Then let's build something better. Octorate Alex returns home. In Texas, Alex Ramirez stepped off a transport plane. His boots hit the ground. Warm wind blew through his hair. Birds chirped. The world felt alive again. He hadn't been home in months. Years, maybe. He walked down the road, past farms, past trees, until he reached a small house with a white fence. His sister Kayla stood outside. When she saw him, she ran. She threw her arms around him. I knew you'd come back, she whispered. He held her close. I told you I would. Inside, they sat at the kitchen table. They talked, laughed, remembered. Later, Alex looked up at the sky. Stars blinked above. He thought about all the battles, all the people who fought beside him, all the ones who didn't make it. He whispered, they're not forgotten. Emily builds the future. Back in Geneva, Dr. Emily Hart worked in the lab. She stared at the Alary crystal on the table. Its light pulsed softly. Behind her, engineers and scientists waited. What now? One of them asked. Emily smiled. Now we learn. She picked up the crystal. This tech isn't just weapons, she said. It's knowledge, it's power, it's history. She connected it to a machine. Lines of code filled the screen. Alien. Symbols, old maps, new ideas. She pointed at one line. This could change everything. Rachel Moore leaned closer. What is it? A way to travel faster than light, Emily said. Without needing fuel. Rachel's eyes widened. You mean? Emily nodded. We can go further, faster. We can explore the stars. She looked around at the team. We've spent so long fighting just to survive. She paused. Now we get to dream. Jordan becomes a teacher. In space, Jordan Blake sat in the cockpit of a Skyblade. Beside him was a young pilot named Mia. She was only 19. Her hands shook as she held the controls. Relax, Jordan said. Flying's like riding a bike. Mia gave him a nervous smile. You ever fly into enemy fire before? Nope, he said. First time for everything. They launched from the spaceport near Mars. Below them, Earth shone like a blue marble. Above them, the stars stretched forever. Jordan looked at Mia. This is your first mission, he said. Make it count. She nodded. I will. Jordan watched as she took control. She moved fast, smooth, like she was born for this. He grinned. Not bad, kid, Mia beamed. After the mission, he pulled her aside. You've got talent. She looked surprised. You think so? I know so, he said. Stick with me, and you'll be flying circles around aliens in no time. She laughed. I'd like that. As they landed, Jordan thought about the future, not of war, but of exploration, of discovery, of peace, and he realized this was only the beginning. A message across the stars. On Earth, a message was sent. It traveled far beyond the solar system, across deep space, to distant worlds. It read, To those who hear this, we are Earth. We once faced darkness. We fought, we won, and now we offer our hand. If you seek peace, we welcome you. If you seek freedom, we stand with you. The Virex ruled with fear. We choose hope. Together, we rise. The message was repeated in every known language. It spread like fire, across planets, across systems, across species. And somewhere, far away, a child looked up at the stars. She pressed a button and replied, We heard you. Thank you. We are ready. The First Alliance. In Geneva, General Bell stood with leaders from across Earth. They met in a large room. Flags hung from the walls. Representatives from every country sat at the table. Behind them, a screen showed real-time data. From space, from other worlds, from new allies. Bell spoke. The Virex taught us one thing, he said. That strength alone does not win wars. He paused. But unity does. One leader asked, "What now?" Bell looked at the others. "We reach out," he said. "We help those who helped us. We protect those who need protection." Lena Cruz added, "We build a new kind of defense, not just for Earth, for the whole galaxy." Another leader nodded. "So we become more than soldiers." Bell smiled. "We become guardians." A new generation. In a school in New York City, a teacher stood in front of a group of students. The classroom was simple: chalkboard, desks, windows open to let in the breeze. Outside, birds sang. The city had changed. Tall buildings still stood, but now there were green spaces, gardens, parks, hope. The teacher wrote on the board, "Today we talk about the war." A boy raised his hand. "Did humans really fight aliens?" The teacher smiled. "Yes, we did." A girl asked, "Were you scared?" The teacher looked out the window. "At first," she said. "But then we remembered something important." "What?" another student asked. "That we are human." She walked to the front. "And being human means never giving up." The students listened. Some took notes, others just stared, wide-eyed. At the end of class, the teacher said, "One day, you might face something big, something scary." She paused. "When that day comes, remember this: we stood tall, we fought hard, and we won." She looked at each student. "Because we are human." The final words. In Geneva, a statue was built. It stood tall in the center of the city. It showed a soldier, a scientist, a pilot, a teacher, a child. Together. Under it, words were carved. They came for war. They found courage. They came for submission. They found resistance. They came for Earth. They found humanity. People gathered around it. They brought flowers. They lit candles. They shared stories. And they remembered, not just the battle, but the spirit, the will to rise, the choice to fight, the decision to never give up. Because when the galaxy declared war, they had no idea what they were up against. They had no idea humanity had risen.